Do not get into a partnership with your SMMA if you are just starting out. Now, this is my take, might be a bit controversial, but I think you should only get into a business partnership with your agency when the person that you get into a partnership with brings a set of skills that you do not have, nor do you have the time to learn. That is the only time I think it's worth getting into a partnership with your agency, especially if you're starting out. Odds are there really isn't enough work to be done at the very beginning of starting your agency to even warrant bringing on a business partner. Now, odds are if you do have a business partner or you're contemplating bringing on a business partner for your agency, this is probably the thinking behind it. And I only say this because I've literally been here. I've thought about setting up an agency and bringing on a partner, and this is where my headspace was at. I was thinking two things. Number one, I'm nervous, I'm scared, and I want to have somebody that I can work with, bounce ideas off of, help with some of the workload, but mainly to go on the journey with, to be reassured that this bold endeavor, and I don't want to sound all frou-frou-y, but this bold endeavor that you're going on isn't going to be embarked on alone. And to that I say, don't be a pussy. Like, seriously, I know it's scary, but you are going to get so much more out of this if you go in this alone rather than going in with a partnership. Now, don't get me wrong. Even to this day with my business, I get really lonely, and there are moments when I would love to have a partner, but I look at the cost of bringing on a partner, and it's so monumental. Literally, half of my agency's profits would go to this other person. And then I think, okay, if I were to say, right, got half, so I think we're on track to like $18K this month, $9K a month would go to this other person, and I have to really rationalize it in my head. How much work is this person going to do that's going to warrant a $9K investment? And it's not just $9K, because money's relative, right? It's $9K when you're first starting out, which is, relatively speaking, a shitload more than what $9K is when you're doing $100K a month, right? So $9K when you're first starting out, that's a lot of money. Are they going to be able to bring in $9,000 worth of value? And could I get that value in a more cost-efficient way? For example, could I just hire a lead gen agency? You absolutely could. You could hire a lead gen agency to get, for 2.5K a month to get you a bunch of leads. And if that's what your business partner is doing, is it really worthwhile? Now, I know this might sound a bit dickheadish and a bit shitty because it's like, I'm sounding very greedy around a business partnership that is more of a relationship with another human being and a friendship, but it's just not like that in business. You can be friends and you can have friends within your business, but that shouldn't be the main priority, I think, at least with a business when you're first starting out. It shouldn't be to make friends and make connections. And maybe this is I might come back in 10 years and totally throw this thing out the window, but when you're first starting out with business, your main priority should be getting clients and bringing in cash. That's the only thing that matters, because then your business can grow and you can focus on other things. Now, reason number two, you might want to bring on a business partner, and this is the reason where I think it's a bit more viable, right? If the business partner that you're bringing on has a set of skills that you do not have, that would also take you way too much time to learn, and this is a very important caveat, is not worth you learning. So, for example, if you bring on a business partner that only focuses on sales, you have to ask yourself, and this is a proper question that you should ask, is it worth me bringing this person on just to do sales for a percentage of my company as a business partner? And if it is, awesome. But more importantly, is it worthwhile as well as me not learning that skill, right? Is it worth me not learning the skill of sales to just bring this person on to potentially speed up the process of the business and grow it quicker? And you really have to ask yourself that, and I think more often than not, it's not. Because I think you really need to learn every single aspect of your business before outsourcing it or delegating it to somebody else. Now, when I say every single aspect, I don't want to be like every single goddamn thing, right? Like, I don't need to know how to order staples, right? I don't need to know how to make a staple. But I think you should have a good understanding of pretty much every facet of your business before delegating it to somebody else, because if it goes wrong, you know how to fix it, or you know what good looks like, and you know how to monitor and report on those things. You have a baseline understanding. If you don't know how to sell and your salesman goes away and you've been relying on him for X amount of time, you're fucked, because that's the most important part of your business. But the same could be said for some baseline accounting. Now obviously when it gets crazy complex, obviously hire an accountant. But if you don't know how to do your own accounting and you've never learned that, even if for this specific agency that you're working in, it might not be worthwhile right now learning it, but you have to have a long-term vision, and that's something I'll talk about later. But 5 years down the road, if you start off a new business or you want to become a board member of another company, do you think that skill is going to be worthwhile? And do you think that's going to make you a viable person to hire or bring on board or make you a partner in somebody else's business? And odds are it's a yes, right? Skills stack. When you stack skills on top of each other, Alex Hormozy talks about it. 1 + 1 does not equal 2. 1 + 1 equals like 4 or 5, because two skills combined with each other just compound, and they provide way more value than they are when they're isolated. So I highly recommend really weighing up the decision of, is it worth the loss in revenue to bring on a business partner, like an equity share, and is it worth me, if the reason you're bringing them on is because you need help with a skill that you don't have, is it worth bringing that person on and not learning the skill and outsourcing it rather than taking time to fully learn it? Now, it's a different conversation if you already know the skill and you just need some help and you want to really invest or get somebody who's super invested in your company. That's what I'm looking for right now. I want to get somebody who I can help with project management, which I know how to do, and I want to bring them on, give them a small percentage of the company, and that encourages buy-in. But the thing is, right, yes, it is worth the loss because I have an investment that I'm giving somebody a portion of my company, and that's an investment that I'm willing to compromise on because I'm outsourcing a thing that I no longer have time for, nor is it worthwhile me spending time on it, and I already know how to do that work. So I'm not, using them as a crutch per se when it comes to a skill gap. It's a time gap. So that's my thoughts on partnership. Now, obviously, if you already have a business partner, don't fucking throw them to the wind. Keep them. But if you're considering going in with a business partner, I think just really, really consider why you're doing it and really break it down. If it's out of fear and you don't want to be alone, that's not a good enough reason. This shit's lonely. It really is, and it's boring. But that's what it takes. And if you can't really overcome that hurdle, maybe look for something else. Huh? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, just factor that in. If you have any questions, just let me know. I answer pretty much every single one of the comments that you guys check in. Check out my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my website, all that good stuff. Happy just to give some tips and tricks and things from my own experience as an agency owner.